Just trying to push it.
Yep.
It's a shrewd,
Wasn't that
savvy move.
It's kind of how I operate.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you for being here. I'd like to take this opportunity to welcome members of the media and guests at this press conference. On behalf of the Board of Trustees, we appreciate the coordinated effort to address the fire at Highland High School last Friday. We continue to appreciate the support from all around the state and from those out of state as we work to move forward with the planning for our next steps. The purpose of this press conference is to relay new information regarding the cause of the fire, as well as the district's preliminary plans moving forward. We will now turn the time over to Ryan O'Hearn, the Chief of Pocatello Police Department. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Ryan O'Hearn, Chief of the Pocatello Fire Department. The fire investigation was a collaborative effort between the Pocatello Fire Department, Pocatello Police Department, State Fire Marshal, and Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms. The scope of the investigation was to determine the origin and cause of the fire, as well as to rule out any criminal activity. The origin was located near the north wall of the stage and the cafeteria, and the cause was electrical in nature due to faulty equipment. And the fire was definitively ruled as accidental in nature. I just want to take this opportunity to thank all the responding agencies and personnel. All crews worked very hard to bring this fire under control quickly as possible. Their efforts resulted in a significant amount of property being saved. This incident was a collaborative effort by personnel from the Pocatello Fire Department, the Chubbuck Fire Department, Pocatello Police Department, Bannock County Search and Rescue, and Pocatello Regional Transit. And we appreciate those relationships. So I'll now turn the time over to Dr. Howell.
Thanks to the fire department and all of the folks that and those groups, organization that assisted in the Highland High School fire. It is certainly something tragic, very devastating, and yet we will look forward to rebuilding and for even better things to come. And so continuing that tradition, that heritage at Highland High School. So I also want to thank our Highland administrative team who worked the better part of this weekend with the district level folks. And I can tell you that I feel very confident in how we are moving forward. I would like to also thank our maintenance, technology, and transportation departments to coordinate efforts with us over the weekend as we plan for the weeks ahead. Jonathan's going to talk to you more specifically about what that looks like. Certainly, as I mentioned last week, it could be a very long process for us. And we know that even on our rebuild, just in some of the projects that we've done recently, I mean, we're looking at probably a year to 2 years. So we are thinking very much long-term, but also our focus is the immediate presence and getting our learners through this next 6 weeks. I would also like to thank our outstanding board members who have given the administrative team suggestions, support, and flexibility to work through this process. They've been amazing and in constant contact and with me through this process. So I'm very grateful for their support. I also want to thank the Highland High School staff and student leaders, really. They were able to meet with our Highland administration on Friday afternoon. We met with the staff and Friday. I know Brad also has meetings planned for them today, and we're going to talk a little bit about that. We'll touch on it again with what Courtney and Brad will have to share with you in a moment. But again, our overarching goal is to proceed with learning and with social and extracurricular activities as best we can to not disrupt that educational experience for our kids. And I would just like to also one more thank you to our local businesses, religious organization, all of our elected officials from the local and state level who have been on the phone with many of us throughout the weekend multiple times. and they are just always just so willing to offer their assistance and support. And so we thank everyone who has reached out. A great community effort. So thank you. And again, I would just like to reiterate what Chief O'Hearn said in that this was an accidental fire. So I know there's been a lot of rumor and speculation that I've heard. And so please just put those things aside and rest assured in what the investigation concluded. Given the circumstances, we know that this is going to be a monumental task. It will require patience and understanding and of our community. But I know that the RAM fam and everyone else in the greater Pocatello Chubbuck area will just be there all the way through this experience with us. And finally, I guess want to turn it over to Jonathan and thank him for all that he's done. Again, the maintenance team, we are I feel like as we receive more answers, we're able to answer more questions. That gives us better directions for the future. So we're just going to make the absolute best of a not so great situation. Thank you so much.
I'm Jonathan, Jonathan Balls, the Director of Business Operations with the school district. And I wanted to give a quick update on the status of the building. As you know, most of the D wing is destroyed, including the band room, the choir room, the cafeteria, the main gym, the locker rooms, and the weight room. Again, thanks to our first responders. The welding shop on that same east end did not suffer much damage in some of the classrooms there. And so we're very thankful for the efforts that were given there to save the most of the building. And the remaining portion of the building had varying degrees of water damage and possibly smoke damage as well. There is a very heavy smoke smell in the entire building currently. We do have a security fence in place there, and we ask everyone, community members, even our staff and students, to please stay away from the site, as there is some potential danger there until we can assess that and mitigate that. So we want to just keep everyone safe so that another accident does not happen. So we please ask for your help there. Currently, as we speak now, industrial hygienists are at Highland High School testing for mold, testing for even asbestos and lead, just to make sure that the restoration crews can go in there safely and start mitigating some of the damage in the remaining existing part of the building. We have several concerns with the electrical and the plumbing systems, as we have to identify and basically terminate some of those lines. Our biggest fear our challenge that we want to make sure we overcome is that when we energize these systems that we don't cause an additional issue or have additional accidents there. And so that will take some time to identify how to basically energize the electrical and the plumbing systems to the remaining portion of the school. Of course, the existing fire suppression system and alarm systems will have to be working, to allow our staff and students to get into the building. And that is a monumental task, because as Dr. Hell mentioned, we appreciate everyone's patience. This is going to be a marathon, not a sprint. And so, again, to reiterate, we'll have electrical engineers, mechanical engineers, structural engineers in the building to assess the safety and the condition of the building. And then along with them, the decision, along with our local building inspectors, collaboratively, we will make that decision to see when we'll be able to reoccupy the existing the rest of the building, the part of the building on the west side of Highland High School. And now we'll turn it over to Ms. Fisher.
Thank you. Courtney Fisher, School District 25 Communications and Community Relations Coordinator. As we enter this next phase to continue to address the needs of the learners and staff of Highland High School, we ask that the community moves forward with the same spirit of patience, goodwill, and grace extended in the immediate aftermath of this incident. At this time, we do have some new details to share and some others, just reminders that are really important for our families and our community to understand. Today, any Highland learner attending who is in need of a Chromebook device can come to the district office, that's 3115 Poline Road, to pick up a device and check out if theirs was left at the building. That will occur from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. today. And again, this week's schedule includes classes resuming with remote learning on Tuesday, April 25th through Friday, April 28th. We are in the process of setting up temporary office space for Highlands administration, utilizing our newest school building, PV Tech, and calls will be redirected there. So if you call, you will be able to reach a member of Highlands staff using existing numbers. Highland administration is scheduled to meet with their building leadership team later this morning to define how the coming weeks will take shape for instruction and learning. We also know that food service is a major concern for people, so we are working to finalize a plan where we will begin food service distribution at PV Tech this week. More details will follow as those plans are finalized. Athletics and activities are also very important to our community, and those activities will proceed as scheduled. The community has really stepped up to ensure that we can fulfill this promise to our learners and to our coaches and to our whole community. So those games, events, activities have been rescheduled or relocated. We recognize the challenges that we face, that they are monumental, and long-term planning has already been initiated moving forward, and we will publish details as those details are finalized. I want to reiterate that we're working through insurance to address those property losses, and we have not currently identified any needs for fundraising. We understand that community members at these times feel compelled to give during these crises, and we encourage those compelled to make a contribution to do so through our official channels that we already have. We already have the mechanisms in place to be able to handle these incidents, and one of those is through the Highland High School Foundation, and the other is through the School District 25 Education Foundation. There are many reasons we are encouraging people to go through these official channels. Number one, donors receive a tax credit. Number two, those funds can be earmarked and directed toward what any activity you specify. So if you make a donation to Highland High School, you can assure that it goes to Highland High School Foundation. If you make it through the Ed Foundation, you can say Highland High School Fire, and we will make sure that we have an account set up where those funds go directly to that cause. Using established mechanisms also ensures accountability. That's really important for us. We have those checks and balances in place where we know that 100% of those proceeds are going as directed, and they don't come with any surcharges or additional fees for the donor. That's one of our hallmarks of that organization. Idaho Gives kicks off next Monday, so this rolls us into another opportunity for our community to band together and support Highland and also support local public education. We will be communicating information about Idaho Gives through our channels on social media and our website this week. All updates will continue to be communicated first and foremost directly to our Highland families and our staff. And then we also know the community remains invested in this process and understanding what plans we have moving forward. So I really encourage all of our Highland families to make sure that they're signed up for our emergency notification system. That's through Infinite Campus. If you have any questions about whether you are or are not signed up for those emergency notifications, please contact the district office. We will get you taken care of. And then just make sure that you follow our website, follow social media. Just lastly, public education is always a serious business. There's never any shortage of challenges that our administration faces, that our teachers face, that our school administrators face. So what I saw over the weekend and what I've seen since Friday is our community, our faculty, our district administration banding together, our school district overall banding together to come together to address this crisis. And what we see when we see our teams go into motion and our community band together, and what will continue to be revealed through taking care of our staff, taking care of our learners, is truly the heart of education. I will now turn this over to Dr. Brad Wallace, principal at Highland High School.
Thanks, Courtney. My name is Brad Wallace. I'm the principal of Highland High School. I just wanted to say thank you to our first responders. It is evident when you look at the pictures and what was saved that they are trained to the highest standard and that they meet that standard in their performance. And so we deeply appreciate them, the heart that they showed in their work and the things that they did to try and save memorabilia really has touched the Highland family. And so we're grateful to them and their sacrifice and their hard work. As Ms. Fisher just said, we now are the first responders as far as learning goes. And so we take that very seriously and try to meet the same inspiring standard that our first responders did. And so we are meeting and we've been meeting through the weekend to figure out how to continue learning for our students and finishing out their school year with a memory that will be a positive one for them. And so that's what we're working on, and those plans will be coming out in the next couple of days of how exactly that's gonna turn out. So we're excited by the challenge. We have the expertise to face that challenge. I mean, I'm as confident as Dr. Howell is with the staff that we have, and so we're up to that. Again, thankful for the community and the overwhelming support that they've given us. We had a great weekend. It was like a roller coaster of a tragedy and then a super fun time at prom that we're grateful to ISU for providing that for us. And we had a record number of students attend prom. And so it was a good time to be able to see them and connect with them. And you know, it inspired us, like I said, to move forward and to provide the best education we can for them finishing out the school year. I'll now turn the time over to you for any questions.
I was curious about the memorabilia hallway. So I know that locals know what that is and they know why it's important, but could you kind of address that for a statewide audience? What is that? What does it mean to the community?
Great question. So at Highland High School, just outside the main gym, stretching down the hallway that's now turned and started to go down another hallway, is a record of memorabilia, a picture of every accomplished athlete that has come through Highland High School, their picture on the wall. And so it's admired by many and a great place for alumni to come and re-experience and kind of remember their accomplishments that began when they were in high school. And so the fire threatened a lot of that, and our firemen braved the way and went through the hall, and we think they saved up to 90% of those pictures that were hanging. So, yeah.
You mentioned that the evaluates the fire suppression system, and we have to understand that that's back in working order. Can you talk to me about whether it activated it, whether it helped to extinguish any of the flames from inside the gym?
That's a question better for
Chief.
Yeah. Do you want to handle that? You bet.
So is your question about the alarm system or the suppression system?
The alarm that activated, that's what triggered the response. Was there the fire suppression system in that building? Like the gymnasium, did it activate? Do we know if that fire suppression system was designed to assist you guys?
So the alarm was initiated by a first responder on scene who saw active fire. There is evidence that the suppression system, the sprinkler system, did activate. The entire building, to my knowledge, is not sprinklered, only the main hallways, one of which is the hallway with the memorabilia. And so the sprinklers activating there certainly did provide some control and slowed the fire spread throughout the building. Unfortunately, there was extensive body of fire and impingement on the building in the area of the cafeteria, the band, and the choir rooms. So.
That happened for KPVI. Has there been a dollar amount assessed to the amount of damage?
I think that it's probably too early to say, and that wasn't really the focus of our investigation. But I know now the insurance companies will come in and provide their own investigation and be able to get those numbers.
I assume the building's fully insured, right?
Yes, that is, yep, it was.
You want to repeat the question?
Yes, the question was if the building was fully insured, and yes, it has. And I will mention that our high claims adjuster was on site Friday afternoon even, and so yes, they'll be assessing the damages and assigning a cost to that, and then we'll go from there in the rebuild.
I have a question for Dr. Hall.
You bet.
So I know you guys are just kind of figuring things out for this week, but what are you thinking for next week in terms of learning? Is anything?
So Carly had asked if what we do beginning, say, next week. And I can tell you that there is nothing is off the table. I mean, we are exploring every option possible. I would say our primary focus right now, as we mentioned earlier, in that we're relocating the Highland administrative staff and clerical staff into our PV Tech, Portland Valley Technical Education Career Campus. And that will begin today. And our goal in that 78,000 square foot space is to provide some learning opportunities as well, those face-to-face opportunities. There are 5 existing classrooms on the south side. As we toured that facility again over the weekend a few times, we looked to determine what sort of classroom space could be available with the wide open call center. And currently, there are areas that are almost established, if you will, that we could take advantage of. We've had opportunities or the reach out from Idaho State University. Appreciate Kevin Satterley and his team. We are exploring that option. However, that would not be available to us until after graduation. So that's May 8th. And when we look at the calendar, we just have a short period of time to finish out the school year. So logistically, we don't want to create any more changes or transitions for our kids than necessary. We certainly know, again, from COVID times that virtual learning, remote learning, hybrid learning, it's not best for us and for our kids. So we want to take advantage of that space that we have available. A little bonus that we learned yesterday, already the acoustics in that space are good as far as the sound transmitting from one space to another. And again, what we learned as a call center, certainly you can imagine 300 agents in there taking calls with just a 6-foot divider between. And so the space is already good, but there's also a kind of a volume suppression system that exists in the building. So we're going to see if we could take advantage of that to allow more learners to be in there. Again, we want to create those opportunities for interaction. This is the difference between COVID times and emergency times, is that we can still create those face-to-face opportunities. And so we will do our absolute best for the kids in that way. And our staff too. Our staff need to make those connections. Great.
With local news agencies for Dr. Wallace, you mentioned that you guys had a record number of attendance at prom. So just wondering, after 24 hours, just a little more than 24 hours since that happened to the student body, can you kind of go and show with that high attendance, the unity and resilience in yourself and in your spirits, kind of comment on that just the day after?
Okay, so Question was if I could comment on the attitude of the students, resiliency, and how they were at prom in the face of what happened. It was an awesome opportunity for us to be able to talk to students and get where they were at, gauge where they were at. Students are resilient, and so, and our learners are resilient, and they were optimistic, right? And a lot of us are in education because of the energy they feed us, right? And so that was what we got at prom, was their confidence in us is humbling, that, oh, you guys will figure this out for us, and then their optimism that, a lot of them came up and said, hey, how are you doing? Checking on us, and everything's going to be okay. We'll be good. And so that's motivating. It's inspiring. It's humbling. All those things. So I'm excited about that. Our kids are resilient and strong. So.
So with that, with no further questions, we will conclude the press conference. Thank you so much for being here today.